All right, so we're getting the entire first album from start to finish. I still remember exactly where I was when I first heard that album. I was on tour with my band across Canada, which can be a very lonely place when you can't dip into the States because the drives between cities are brutal.
I can only imagine. Man.
And I mean, just the beginning of that album, it's iconic. Did you realize how iconic the beginning of Blind is? Did you realize how many kids have played that on their ride?
Well, listen, when we came up with the idea, we wanted the record to start out super teeny tiny.
Yeah.
And to do something that nobody's done before. And what about if and I think, David came up with this.
Yeah.
What if I to just start with the ride as the time? And
yeah.
we're like, yes, nobody does that.
No.
And so that was, and then to have Jonathan scream and then just the heavy detuned guitars. It was like, that's the shit right there.
There's very few bands that are true innovators. When I think of them on the top of my hands, I think of someone like a band like Genesis, a guy like Peter Gabriel,
yeah,
like David Bowie is an innovator. You guys are innovators, and for because you guys are still fairly a young band. I mean, you had a big impact on music, and I would imagine at this point when you can look back on it with some clarity, you realize that now, right? Can you digest that and realize that you've had that kind of effect?
mean, it is when we're doing festivals like this and I have other bands or other musicians come up to me and say, you had a big influence on me playing guitar, or you had an influence on our direction or whatever,
Yeah.
Then it starts to be like, wow, that's really cool. Then you start to realize the impact that you made and the gratitude because we still get to do it,
Yeah.
We still get to create and reinvent ourselves on each album. So it's still a challenge, man.
Yeah.
And then now with the record industry changing and you're trying to find new avenues to discover new music for bands and even established bands, it's tough.
Yeah, no, the industry's completely changed. You guys were always on the point and on the tip of giving the fans an added value experience. You've always played to your core fans and taken care of your core fans. So you guys always had that in your favor. A lot of bands are realizing that they have to do that now. I imagine for you guys, you had ideas on how to keep fans happy way before. A lot of bands had to do it when they didn't sell records anymore. So it's not a new thing for you.
Well, I think on our very first tour, we realized the value of that when we were on tour with House of Pain and Biohazard.
Yeah.
And they took us out, and after the show, we would go out in the crowd and say hi to people and pass out our 3-song sampler, I think it was at the time, before the record came out. And we would hang out with people. And
right.
that really launched us because people realized like they want to interact with their fans, and we just kind of kept that going. And then we, when the .coms and the internet came about, we utilized that right away. We had a guy at our record label at Epic Records explain to us the importance of the internet at the time.
Yeah.
And we actually streamed a live show from our studio in Indigo Ranch.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
So that was like, really? You're going to run a cable all the way up the mountain to the studio? Yeah. And is this going to work? And it was, and it did. It worked.
Also remember
so that was one of the first live events on the internet.
Yeah.
So it was really innovative, and we got pumped about doing that and staying in the world of tech and using it as a way to access our fans and for them to access us.
And I don't ever remember a band that ever took a tank through a street.
Oh yeah, with Coors Light.
So kudos for that.